Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to my coffee break conversations. Although I'm not drinking coffee today, although no, this is not wine, guys. I don't do that until evening. I don't do wine during the day. This is actually a cosmic cranberry kombucha that I'm drinking today. So cheers to you guys out there. Hope you guys are having a really good day. Happy post 4th of July. And I hope you guys had a really good 4th. Hope you got out there, did something fun, had a barbecue. I know we had a little barbecue ourselves. So yeah, it was a good day. Kind of hot though. Yeah, it's it's been hot here lately, as you probably heard me say this before. So we're just having like a lot of hot weather. But anyway, hope you guys had a good 4th. For those of you who do celebrate that out there here in the USA. And actually, I kind of wanted to talk about more of a theme, not necessarily about the 4th of July, but I wanted to kind of I thought it'd be kind of cool to theme it. How to feel liberated in your own life and how to feel free in your own life. And this is more, again, from a mindset standpoint. And I thought it was really good because when you look at the 4th of July, I mean, that's really about what it is. For those of us who do live in the USA, we celebrate the 4th of July every year as as a sign to us that we are for our freedoms, and thanking those people who are out there all the time fighting for our freedoms. So thank you guys, anybody who is in military, the services out there. Thank you. Actually, you guys are the ones out there fighting for our freedom, and that's why we are able to deserve that freedom here to this day. So thank everybody for that. And sometimes when we celebrate the 4th of July, we we celebrate that freedom, right? And I'm not sure what you guys do in other countries. So if you guys are listening from another country, you may or may not celebrate that kind of thing, but whatever you do in your country to celebrate your freedoms, just kind of think of that. That is actually a privilege to us, right? That's a privilege to us. It doesn't necessarily mean that, sometimes when we look back in our own life and we don't feel free, right? Like, we celebrate the 4th, we get out there, we do the fireworks, we do all the things, but we're trapped in ourselves, right? We're trapped. We feel not liberated. We don't feel free. We feel like we're stuck, right? And we want to also, I think it's a good thing, we want to feel that 4th of July in us. We want to feel free. We want to feel liberated within our own selves for our own sake. And each one of us, I think each one of us has our own responsibility to do that. Nobody else can do that for you. It doesn't matter, what you celebrate. It doesn't matter if you're out there doing the fireworks and just doing all those things that get you liberated. If you're not liberated in your heart and your soul and your mind, you're not going to feel it, and it's not going to come, it's not going to manifest in your life. And I think that's one of the hardest things that we have to face. Everybody faces some type of some type of challenge, some type of way that they get held back. Something holds them back, and they don't feel like they can speak up. They don't feel like they can be themselves. And I think it's I really think it's more of a learned thing as we grow up in life. And we learn to hold back our true selves. We learn to hold back who we are, and we don't feel liberated whatsoever. And I've had my share of this too. And it was interesting because I've been working on my book. I've really dove in. Finally, guys, I always talked about it for a long time. I always said I was going to write a book, and I've done this for several years. I kept saying, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to write a book. And I never sat down and actually started writing the book. And I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, well, why? Why am I not taking action to write the book? And part of it was I felt stuck and I felt not liberated. I didn't feel free. I felt trapped. And it wasn't trapped physically, but in my own head. If I was trapped physically, oh my gosh, I'd probably go ballistic. Speaking of, getting off the subject for a little bit, guys, interesting. Speaking of feeling trapped, my husband the other day went in for an MRI on his back, because, you know, I told you he has a permanent back injury. And they wanted to see how far he's come. You know, they did an MRI the other day. And he told me he was in one of those, what do they call those machines? Well, the MRI machines, where you go in and it's the whole machine where your whole body goes into it, and it's really tiny and tight, and you have to lay there all like flat and everything. And still, and you have this far from the top of you, so you're kind of crushed in this little tube. Oh my gosh, I would go ballistic. Speaking of feeling trapped physically, I told him, in fact, it's funny because I told the lady that come out to take him back the other night, I told her if they had to put me under one of those MRI machines, first of all, they'd have to give me an anxiety medication because I have a claustrophobic thing. I'm claustrophobic in certain instances. And they would have to give me something to take, and they'd have to get me one of those little eye masks where I wouldn't open my eyes and see that I'm like this close to the top. Yeah. I told her I would freak out, and she said, yeah, there's a lot of other people that do that. But anyway, that would to me be physically trapped. I couldn't handle that. But you know, another thing, when you look at that, that's how sometimes we are in our own heart, soul, and even in our minds. We're trapped like in this little tube that we decide to put ourselves in, and we're just like, we're just, you know, we're getting claustrophobic and we're going, you know that feeling, right? It's a different kind of feeling, and it still creates the anxiety, and it still creates the trapped feeling, and you don't feel like you're free, right? And it can do that same thing in your head. And it was, you know, I thought that was a perfect example of the MRI machine. We have that in our heads. We get in this little tube, and we just don't bust out. We don't get out of there and start feeling liberated. You know, I had felt that way for a long time. And even to this day, I get my days where I start kind of feeling like, wow, I'm not feeling very free in my life today, or, you know, whatever you're feeling. Because, you know, we all experience ups and downs in our life, and ups and downs in our emotions and the way we feel and what's going on in our life. And we go into these valleys of our life, and sometimes we get that way. Sometimes we all feel like we're trapped, right? And so one of the things I think, I can't tell, you know, trying to give you guys, I don't want to give you like number 1, number 2 tips on how to get out of being trapped and how to start feeling free. That again is kind of the inner work that you have to do to find that for yourself. I mean, we can kind of give you advice from kind of the things that I've gone through. And, oh, wait, yeah, back to my book. I'm getting sidetracked today, guys. I got off on that MRI thing. I just started to go off. But yeah, getting back to that. And this really all ties in is why I wasn't doing my book. Because inside, I was starting to feel that trapped feeling. I wasn't feeling free and liberated to go and write my book. So recently I've been getting in, I just started doing that, and I had started going in a little deep and thinking of kind of some past things, going through my story, sort of what I have gone through over the course of time. And it brought up it was very interesting, because as I was doing that, and as I was just typing along, and my mind was working faster than I could type, and I was sitting here going, I would read it back. I would read it out loud, what I had wrote down. I'd read it out loud again to myself, or, you know, out loud to my husband. And I thought, wow, you know, all those years I felt trapped when I didn't even know it. There were times that I didn't know I was trapped in my own life. And to look back now and go back and read this, what I've written up so far, was like, wow, you know, that's crazy. I spent all those years doing that and not realizing. And it's not that I had a bad life. It's not that I went through my whole life just, you know, I mean, we had some really great times, as everybody. We have ups and downs in our life. And we've had some amazing moments in our life, some amazing moments in our life. But I wasn't feeling free. And if you're feeling that way, you know, if you got to kind of look at that and go, are you, you know, ask yourself this question: are you feeling liberated yourself in your own life? And are you feeling free to be who you want to be? Or are you just feeling trapped and you're feeling like you can't speak out? You feel like you just can't show who you really are. You're afraid to do that, right? Fear comes into the picture and we kind of clam ourselves up and not really feel like we can do what we want. So that's kind of a question to ask yourself. And once you ask yourself that question, be honest. And then I always ask people to ask themselves these questions, because basically what it does is, I'm not telling you step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 how to do your life. I'm reflecting back to you what you already know. It's just you have to bring it out within yourself. You have to answer these questions for yourself in order for you to start saying, wait a minute, something's off here. Something doesn't feel right. And I think when we can get to that point to where we absolutely know something's off, we can start thinking to ourselves, well, how can I go about improving on this, or maybe fixing that? And sometimes I think we get into, like, for me, I know when I was revealing back and looking back on these things, I would also want to get in this. Wow, is that thunder?
Yes.
Wow, we're starting. Yeah, it got dark. Wow, we're starting to get thunder here, guys. It's crazy. Although it did that a few days ago and nothing happened. I don't know.
Yeah, thundered all
day and not like a single drop of rain. It was crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you kind of, again, have to look within yourself and bring it in your, once you bring it from your subconscious mind into your conscious mind. Awareness is 90% of the challenge, and how would I say, it's 90% of solving the problem, and the other 10% is the action. The awareness of it is the biggest thing that you will make in your life. Once you become aware of how you're thinking, of how your thought patterns are, of how you feel about yourself, if you allow it, the awareness level, you've already reached that point to where you're aware, then the rest of the time, the 10%, you need to take the action on it. And I know this sounds a little weird. And, you know, we're always used to that 80-20 rule. But in order to make a change in any aspect of our life, guys, it has to be brought to our awareness first. We have to see it with open eyes, open heart, without judgment. It has to be there. Then we can start creating the healing we need around it. And
if you're saying, you know, that's not really true, ask yourself, do you know your car has a flat tire until you see it?
No.
Hello? I mean, do you know your car has a flat tire until you see your car setting weird, and you go to look, and the tire's flat?
Yeah. That happened to me once. Literally. I was driving. You brought up thought up a story now. But that actually happened to me. I was driving back from a business meeting with a friend at the time. Well, not with a friend, but from a business meeting that I had with her. I was driving home, and I had a bunch of chairs in the back because we did those folding chairs, and it was rattling and making a bunch of noise. And I had a ton of them in my back seat of my car. It was like my back seat of my car was full, and I kept hearing this noise, right? And it's like I was driving down the road, and I'd press on the gas, and I'd get this, and it's like I had no power. And I thought that maybe maybe there was something wrong with my transmission, because I'd press on the gas and I'd get no power. And I started smelling this weird burnt smoke smell, and I'm like, oh, I'm freaking out. And I pull over. I was in a residential area. I pulled over, and I'm like, what's going on? I got out, looked around my car, and my tire was completely flat. I was riding on the rim, and it was a big old slash in it. And I was like, holy crap, how did I get this? I didn't even know the tire was flat until I got out and looked and realized I had a flat tire. So, yeah, that same thing, like you said, can happen in your life. You don't know it. And sometimes I think we end up doing it to ourselves. Most of the time, why we don't feel like we're free in our life and why we don't feel like we're liberated about something is simply because we're doing it to ourselves and we're allowing it to happen. And you got to come to that conclusion of enough is enough. If you want a life of success, if you want a life of happiness, if you want a life that you are happy, or you can't wait, you're just out there, you're living life, then you have to be open to looking deep in yourself. And I know you guys have heard me say this so many times before. You're probably sick and tired of me saying this, but I will say it over and over and over again, because if you do that and you start opening yourself up to what is going on within you, you become aware of these things. Like we said with the tire incident, you didn't know you had a flat tire until you saw it. But when you see it, and you're honest about it, and you're not going to judge yourself about discovering whatever you've discovered about yourself, at that point you've created this gigantic space for yourself, for growth, for success, for happiness, for the life that you want to live. But you have to make it happen. And it kind of goes back like on the 4th of July, when we think of for the people living in the USA, and we think of our freedoms that we have, our freedoms come at a gigantic price, right? They do. We call them freedom, and we're all free to choose, but they come at a big price. There are people out there, like I said, fighting, keeping that freedom going for us. And that's the same thing with you. Your freedom and your liberation that you get from life does come at a big price. And if you don't ever discover it and you let life take you down, your big price, there's going to be a lot of resistance, a lot of suffering, and a lot of excess problems by not seeing that. I hope this makes sense to you guys. I know when I first started doing this kind of work, this kind of inner work, it felt awkward to me to go in, and I would be like, wait, no, that's not real. I'm not like that. That's stupid. I really did. I thought that. And it's like, there's nothing wrong, and it's because I didn't want to see it, or I didn't know how to get myself past the feeling trapped mode, getting past that hurdle in my life. And that was one of the things while I was starting to do my first chapter in my book, is I kind of took myself step by step into the past, so to speak, and I went through things, and there was, I have to say, there was a couple of emotions that came up where I was like, you know how you kind of feel it again? You go back in your past and you go back to a particular incident in your life or something that happened and you feel it again. You can kind of feel that. But the difference that I have found within me is when I go back to that moment and I feel that emotion that I felt then, is there's two things you can do. You can look at it from the past, because that's what it is. And you go, okay, that happened to me. Yes, I felt this way. Yes, it wasn't a pretty moment in my life, but I learned from it because, or I learned from that experience because it taught me blah, 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 blah. If you look at it from that perspective, that emotion kind of fades off because it's coming back at you going, ha, 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 ha. I'm going to make you feel trapped again. Ha. This is what happened to you in the past. And here's that emotion that you felt that you were so terrified of. And I'm going to take you down again. That's what it's wanting to do to you. But if you allow for it, oh, hell yeah, it'll take you right back down again if you want. If you decide to go down that road, you're going to go down the road. Okay? But if you look at it in a perspective of, okay, yes, this did happen to me. Yes, that was not great moments in my life, but it's what happened to me. It was a learning experience. It was a failure, but I can take that experience and wisdom and take what I learned from those lessons and bring them back into my life in more of a positive perspective, going, this is what I've learned, this is the wisdom I've gained, and look at it in a different way to move forward from that, to bounce forward and leave it in the past where it's supposed to be, right? Once you do that and you make that space for that emotion and that thing you felt has no power over you. It has no power. And I discovered that when I was starting to do the first chapter of this book, because I go in kind of deep with, I'm not going to give a lot away because you guys will just have to see when the book's done. But I'm working on my story. And what caused me to look back in different things. And I realized if you, like with you guys, if you don't let it take your power from you and you use it as like how you're on a trampoline and you come down on the trampoline and it bounces you back up again, and the more you give momentum to it, the higher you bounce, right? That's what you want to look at, is you're bouncing off that past and you're going, I learned from this, and you go boing, and you go way up here. That is liberation. That right there is feeling liberation in your mind. I can't tell you how liberated I felt that night when I was working on it the other night. After I felt that emotion and I started going, oh my gosh, boy, I did have, and then I turned it around into learning tool. And once I did that, it's like I looked back and I felt liberated. I felt liberated. I felt free because I went through that hurdle. I went through that experience. I went through that struggle, and I still came out on the other end. So that's what you guys, look at in your own personal life. What struggles you're going through right now, maybe. What things you've had to overcome. What's making you feel trapped. What's making you feel stuck. And open yourself up to that. Feel the emotion, but don't let it take you down. And just learn how to bounce back from that. Be that trampoline. Be that person on the trampoline where when you come down and you hit that point, you hit rock bottom, right? But instead of hitting rock bottom and staying and falling through the trampoline gets a hole and you fall down, okay? Let's hope not. Yeah, get on the trampoline, bounce down, and then just go back up. Just bounce right back up again. So that's kind of, in my perspective, of feeling liberated, feeling free is freeing your mind, freeing your heart, freeing your soul, being who you want to be, regardless of what's going on around you. So, I don't know, I don't know if I have anything else to say. I mean, I can go into different things about this, but I think you guys have to discover for yourself what makes you feeling free in your own life. So, did you have any?
It does not have to be anything big to make
No.
you feel free. It could be as simple as taking a walk, or going for a jog, or riding a bike, or it's a small amounts of freedom that build up within you over time. Donna said, what Donna went over was experiencing the freedoms of learning from your past, and then now you understand that your past is not, once you actually embrace it and learn, your past is not necessarily evil.
No.
It is not a horrible place, it was for you at that time, but once you learn from the lessons that it gives you, you get that freedom. You get that experience. You get the ability to see that. You get the ability to see yourself. You get the ability, all kinds of stuff comes through to you.
Yeah. And sometimes just automatically it'll come to you. But again, I think we have to allow for it, because there's a lot of people out there, they look in their past, and if you stay stuck in your past and you don't make that conscious effort to move forward, well, yeah, you're going to be one of those people that just sit there in your past all the time and just go into a deep, dark depression and stay there.
Well, there's brooding about what happened in the past to the point of you never learning the lessons that it gives you.
Or seeing the lessons.
So you're stuck.
Yeah.
You're stuck constantly brooding and thinking it was such a horrible thing in your life, when in actuality it gave you that a wonderful gift of a lesson in your life as to what have you.
Yeah.
Everybody has different experiences. Everybody has different lessons to learn. It's not good. It's not evil. It's just what is. That's just how it is. It's just what is.
Yeah.
If you learn from what is, okay, learning from what is like a child learning that fire burns your finger.
Yeah, once you do that, have that experience.
Once you learn what is, you know not to stick your finger in a fire anymore.
Exactly.
So, for those people that actually learn that lesson, they never stick their finger in a fire anymore. For other people that enjoy sticking their fingers in the fire, that's a different thing.
Yeah. Or they may not enjoy sticking their fingers in the fire, but maybe they keep sticking their fingers in the fire because, and we're not really talking literal. He was talking literally,
it's not
but
literal.
In a more of a mindset experience, you're sticking your hands in the fire because it's what's comfortable to you. It's what you know. It's what's familiar. So you're going to go back.
You're
going to go back to being familiar and comfortable, even though you're suffering. You're going to go back to that place all the time because it's comfortable to you. You know what to expect, right? And sometimes I think people can get into that sort of thing too, and still stay stuck there. So you got to kind of look at that, for yourself. Are you doing that because of that reason? Are you doing it because just out of complete fear? But I think too, once you feel, like even Toby said, none of these things that we talk about have to be mind-blowing experiences.
Not saying it can't be mind-blowing experiences, but
if that happens, that's great. Like, I've had a couple of mind-blowing experiences in my life. And then I've had a couple of very subtle, barely seen experiences that still taught me a lot, taught me a good lesson, and where I needed to go from there. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. It just matters to you. And
the size doesn't
where
matter.
you're gonna,
it just is.
Yeah, and how you're going to learn from that.
I used the analogy of fire because it just is.
Mm-hmm.
Fire is fire. That's what it is. There's no redefining it. You know, oh, that hot thing over there. Well, guess what? It's still a fire.
Yeah.
You know, you
call it what you want. It's still there.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, a dog by any other name is still a dog.
Even though you might name it Rufus or something. Spot, Fluffy, I don't know.
Spot, Fluffy, stupid.
Yeah. But, oh wow. But yeah, guys, I mean, you know, the kind of stuff here that you really just, like I said, again, you really just want to look within yourself. And get out there, you know, find something that makes you feel free. Whatever it is, whatever you really like to do or love to do. Like, I think it's cool for me when I get out on a trail or something and I'm hiking and I get to like a higher point where I can look over. I love that experience because you can, like, you're on a mountaintop and you look down in a valley or something. To me, that is liberating. That is feeling free. There's something about it that just really just makes me feel like amazing, right? That does it for me. Getting out, being by a river or a stream to hear the trickling water just going down, you know, that to me is very liberating. That to me is very free. Because I'm a nature freak. I'm a nature buff. So, yeah. Any of that kind of stuff for me is going to work. But, you know, you just find what works for you. And I think closing out, I really think just take some time. Even though we're past 4th of July now, it doesn't matter. It's just one day past. Big deal. You can still celebrate it in your own self, guys. Celebrate the 4th. Celebrate you. Celebrate you for who you are, how far you've come. Celebrate yourself for the struggles you've gone through and come out on the other end stronger. Or even if you just come out on the other end, you're still alive, right?
Come out on the other end in one piece, you're pretty
strong.
You're stronger.
Exactly. So, well, I hope this segment has been helpful for you. I don't have anything else to go over unless you want. If you have anything else, I always make sure Toby wants to make sure anything else he wants to say. So, okay, guys. Well, stay tuned next week again. And again, this will be on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can go up there, hit the bells, and
get the
notifications to get the updates because I do these once a week. That way you guys aren't missing out. And so comment if you like this. If you didn't like it, let us know. Give us some ideas. We love to have your ideas and your comments. So we appreciate all of it. So thank you guys. Have a really wonderful day. Have a really good weekend. Use up the rest of your fireworks safely. And take care, and we'll see you guys on my next coffee break conversations. Bye-bye, everybody.